Okay, thank you, Juliana.
Boleh.
Okay, I would like to also add something to Pak Andre respond ya. If we're talking about PPP, the last P is partnership. So public consultation or market sounding, it's really important to be able to structure bankable or feasible projects. So hearing from the market, it's really important to have a successful projects. Yeah, many times we face a failed project that basically we are not, or the government contracting agency are not really responding to the private sectors, especially lenders needs. Yeah. Okay. Let me continue my slide. So basically, if we're talking about subnational government, we have a common challenges, considering that we also not only supporting through PPP projects, but direct financial support in form of loan to subnational government. We already identified common challenges. Yeah, if we're talking about subnational government. First, heavy public sector control. This is, we understand that public sector is heavily regulated. There are political nuance that always influencing government decision. So heavy public sector control is surely will influence on how we prepare a project. So this is something that we have to consider at the beginning. So regulations and policies set up by the government will surely help the delivery of the project. The second is inadequate use of credit rating and project appraisal. This is also many times we found it on our project. So project rating or credit rating, it's really important for the lenders, and we do some kind of rating that will address this issue. And last, also we found financial commitment from municipalities, especially in Indonesia, are not quite, how do you say, there are some kind of level of high commitment from the municipalities, especially if we are talking about government pay, not user pay mechanism in Indonesia through availability payment to support the project made by private sectors, and therefore we try to mitigate those type of common challenges through our internal credit risk assessment, and we also set up an environmental and social safeguards policies. This is also important if, especially if we want to obtain funding from bank and also international financiers. We also have development facility to support subnational government. As I present, we also have a subnational government in preparing their project. Next slide. This is something, the metrics that I don't know whether already presented. Next slide, Pak Bayu, please. Yeah, we refer this. We took this session for these slides from one of our expert, yeah, Professor Paul Smoke from New York University, in order to select type of investment and how national government or local government can obtain financing from. I believe this slide will also help participants from this session to somehow select modality on their project. Say if let me provide some example. One of the example is if the subnational government have a high income level or high credit worthiness, and they have projects that could finance themselves. Say if in your country it's able for you to develop a toll routes, it could be financed through a mix of bonds and loans, and also can be offered through PPP projects. But if the subnational government income level or credit worthiness is low, and the project is not having any revenue, and it's mainly used for social purpose like park projects or waste management, it should be financed by its own budget, yeah. So basically it's coming from transfers, intergovernment transfers, or their own revenue. So this matrix, I hope, could help select and prioritize projects and modality of how your project should be financed. Okay, next slide. I would also will provide some kind of the risking instruments that could address private sector's needs. Pak Bayu, maybe you can go to slide 16. Yes, thank you. This is also related 16. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. This is for Indonesia geothermal project as an example. Yeah, in Indonesia there are a big capacity of geothermal resource, but the problem is for the exploration stage, it needs a big amount of investment at the beginning, but with also a big risk of failed exploration stage, and therefore the government provide a credit enhancement in form of a loan to the private sector. This is the right side of this presentation, whereby we provide forgiveness. We do a risk sharing mechanism. We offer risk sharing mechanism, whereby if private sector or state-owned enterprise have a failed project, and then our loan will be forgive for 50% of the amount. So this help exploration company to mitigate or the risk part of their capital injection. The second example is with regards to bond issuance done by private sector. Pak Bayu, can you go to slide 18? Okay. Slide 18. This is one of the support that we provide to our clients, whereby to be able to access financing from capital market, we offer a credit enhancement facility. So basically, the clients is mini hydros company. They have a couple of mini hydros, approximately 20 areas, and they need financing from the capital market. At first, they only have BBB credit rating from the rating agency, and we provide them with facility. So with our facility, and we do some kind of structuring to support this bond issuance, and therefore our clients may obtain a better credit rating, which is AA. whereby with those credit ratings, they obtain a lower cost of fund. This is one of the example that we provide to our clients. This is an example. We have a lot of more example. We have also what we call credit enhancement facilities for our debtors. And we also provide a junior loan facility, so we are able to support private sectors in supporting projects coming from the government. I think we also have in our presentation example of projects related to green projects in subnational government, especially in cities. In our presentation, we also provide samples, say in slide 25, Pak Bayu. This is from our Surakarta street lighting PPP project case, in slide 25. Yes, thank you. Maybe this
sorry, Bapak Faris.
Yes.
Sorry for cutting in. It's just in the interest of time.
Okay.
I was wondering if maybe you wanted to.
Okay.
Maybe you can have another 2 or 3 minutes to wrap up and conclude, and then
Okay.
the slides
This is my
can
slide.
be sent to the
Yes.
participants so they can read all the
Yes.
examples as well. Thank you.
Okay. As an example, because this is a deep dive session, this is an example of how in our project we identify and allocate risk for our Surakarta street lighting project. So basically, this project trying to retrofit the street lighting, and in doing so they will have a more environmental friendly lighting mechanism, and also providing additional revenue in form of saving for the local government. So basically we have already identified 8 risks, and basically we put this on development regulation, and we also provide some kind of illustrations on how on each stage of risk assessment, how those risks are categorized and mitigate. As I mentioned earlier, guidance or regulations are really helpful to prepare projects, especially if you're talking about subnational projects. Thankfully, we already have a risk matrix issued by the Ministry of Planning. So first stage is we have to, there are approximately 4 stages that we should do in PPP projects. First, those steps are namely, firstly is identification, and then we have to rate those, do a risk rating for those risks that already identify. And then we should do a risk allocation steps, and then we will have do a analysis for those risks. So this is, can you go to slide 27, the first slide, Pak Bayu? Okay. So basically, this is a risk matrix, number E, develop risk identification matrix. So basically, we identify risk based on their category. It could be design risk, construction risk, political risk, including force measures, sponsor risk, and financial risk. Those are examples that we also provide in one of our slides in Surakarta project that could be referred by our participants today. And then we also have to introduce the explanation or definition of those risks in order to provide a clearer picture, clearer elaboration on those metrics. And then for the risk metric itself, after we identify, we should develop the matrix. First, we have to create some kind of assessment, starting from the rating, and we have a description on how likely those risks will happen. Starting from 5, which means those rating will be happen frequently, and the lower is 1, whereby those metric is unlikely to be happen. And then we put some range of probability, and then we should also identify the frequency of risk that we already identify with regards to the occurrence of what such metrics happen. And after we identify the occurrence, or we perceive how the occurrence will happen, we will also have to put some of our judgment with regards to the consequences. The most catastrophic will get the higher value, and the lower consequences will obtain a lower rating. And we have some guidance on how the rating will be impacted for the projects. And then we combine those occurrence and consequences metrics to our risk rating metrics, and then we can identify how this each specific risk will be obtained a rating. As an example, we have tables in slide 28, Pak Bayu. Okay, slide 28, please. So this is risk matrix that we present as an example for you to refer, whereby we already identify risk, and we also have a category of such risk, and we also identify the occurrence consequences, and we rank them, each of the risks, and how we propose to allocate the risk. How we allocate and the risk, we also provide some kind of guidance, whereby a risk could be transferred to other parties, retained by the government contracting agency, or shared between the public and private. I believe in the next slide we have such guidance, Pak Bayu. Okay, this is how we allocate risk based on those regulations, or regulation already provide the guidance, and we can use it for our projects. Yeah. Lastly, we will do analysis, and we will be able to somehow use insurance as a way to mitigate the risk. I think that's in short how what I can present, Juliana, with regards to the risk matrix.